Okay. Welcome back, fight fans. A little bit of a late start there. I don't know what was going on with StreamYard. It wouldn't let me start. Something about high traffic. I have no idea. So that was what that little weird start was about there. Anyway, so today we're going to be going through, of course, UFC London. And then we're going to be going through this week's, which is UFC Columbus. Let's start off with UFC London, and my God, was it good. I mean, easily best card of the year so far. Honestly, might actually have been the best card that I've ever seen. I've only really been watching every card for the past year and a half or two. So yeah, this might have genuinely been the best one I've ever seen. I mean, just absolutely insane. The crowd was amazing. The fights were amazing. And oh my God, maybe the best part, I was right on almost every single fight on the entire card. I only got one wrong, and it was Corey McKenna. Just barely lost out there. But every other single fight every single fight actually, yes, I got right, except for that one. But all the ones I talked about last time, I did in fact get right. So hopefully you got some cash in there. Anyway, we'll start off, excuse me, with the prelims. Prelim number 1, and it was actually one that I had talked about last week that I said everybody should watch, and I hope that you did. It was with the rookie making his first performance in the UFC, Muhammad Mokaya, going against Cody Durden. I was saying that Mokaya was probably going to get a decision, even though, he had a decent amount of finishes. I was just like, there's a lot of flyweights normally go to a decision. It's his first fight. I was thinking we would see a decision here, but I did say maybe we would see a submission win for Mokayev, considering how good of a wrestler he is. So the first fight of the night, and it was already insane. The energy was out of this world, absolutely electric. Mokaya, really, but also because apparently Durden was saying some shit before that was racist. I didn't hear any of it, so I don't know. I don't have an opinion on it because I didn't actually hear anything that he said. But that's what I'm told. Also, of course, Mokayev is the British fighter. So, of course, they're going to be cheering for the British fighter in the first fight of the night against an American. Of course they were. And you know what? The crowds over there know how to do it. They know you show up to the prelims. You got to show up to the prelims. How do you not? It bugs me every single time when I watch the American ones and there's nobody there until the main card. Not in the UK. They show up right away. It was already pretty much 2/3 full, even with this first fight. Anyway, he came in strong right away. Mokayev started to throw everything at him. There were front kicks, jabbing ones too. It was crazy to watch, really, for somebody that young. The youngest fighter on the entire UFC roster, by the way, making his debut like that. Got a huge flying knee straight to the face, dropped Durden on his back, And from there, it was all just his ground game. And I mean, we knew that's exactly what Mokaya was going to do. Wrapped up the neck for a guillotine. And even though Durden slammed him to the ground, he still had it locked in the entire time and ended up clinching the win in less than a minute. So he got the win in less time than it took me to talk about the entire fight. So he's the youngest fighter on the entire UFC roster, and he got the second fastest submission win in flyweight history. Unbelievable. What a way to open up the card. Seriously. I mean, that's the way the card opened, and it just kept getting better from there. Absolutely unreal. By the way, after that, I mean, he is easily in the lead for Rookie of the Month. And I mean, if he can continue that, if he can fight another 1 or 2 times this year and do a similar thing, how is he not going to be Rookie of the Year? I mean, come on. So yeah, submission win for Mokaya in the first round. One of the most valuable fighters of the night. By the way, I had a lot of blue bonuses. Just like the UFC, they gave a bonus to every single fighter that got a finish. I didn't quite go that far, but I was pretty close. I think I gave out something like 7. We'll go into that at the end, though. But that was one of them right there. And of course, like I said, definitely getting Rookie of the Month, unless somehow a rookie does something absolutely insane in Columbus this week. But I doubt that. In the next fight, it was Elise Reed and Corey McKenna. Like I said, this was the only fight of the entire night that I got one wrong. And it wasn't even one that I had talked about. So you guys wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have said it. But I'm pretty open about it. Anyway, and it was by split decision. Could I have been any closer to getting a clean sweep of 12-0? I don't think so. So Reed used a huge reach advantage, got the jabs going. For most of the round, McKenna was walking straight through that really to go for the takedowns. So, I mean, you know, it's not like Reed was doing anything crazy, but she did get hit a couple of times. You know, McKenna was still standing up to it. Finally got a takedown at the end of the round, but couldn't really get much going with it. So, you know, kind of leaning towards Reed on that one personally. The second round all started to shift towards Reed again. McKenna wasn't really landing anything. It wasn't really landing any punches or takedowns. And, you know, Reed was still landing her regular big shots. Sensing it was, you know, I would say she was 2 rounds down at that point. Corey came in, got a takedown a minute into that round, and did some pretty good work there. But Reed ended up getting back up and dropped McKenna with a big shot. After it was all done, I mean, pretty clear decision win for Reed, I thought, and I think pretty much everybody else thought. I had it 29-28. 2 of the judges saw it 29-28. And one, I don't know what kind of fight they were watching. They had it 30-27 for McKenna. So, I mean, technically I was close with a split decision, but I got to disagree on that one. I think it was definitely 29-28 for Reed, even though, of course, I wanted McKenna to win. Yeah, Reed definitely had that one. And that is probably going to be the worst judges card of the month. 30-27 for McKenna? No. Unless something crazy happens this week, which I could see happening because we're back in the States. You know what? The judges that were on this week, perfect. I honestly didn't see anything except for literally that single fight. And you know what? The rest of the month, I've been picking it up. I've actually been impressed with the judges this month. They haven't really done anything crazy, which is mind-blowing considering what we've seen the other January and February. Fight number 3. Wow, we're taking a long time. Jack Shore, Timur Valiev. This was another one that I had talked about last time, and it was Jack Shore on that one that I was picking. I thought it was going to be by decision because I knew how close it was going to be. Shore was coming in 15-0. Yeah, I think. Yeah, 15-0. And then, of course, he had a 12-0 amateur record. So completely undefeated, whereas Valiev was coming in 18-2. So, still pretty close, but that Shore had that slight edge. But I did say that Valiev maybe had a chance because he had, was that a win? Oh, yeah, it was a win. He won over Barcelos, and I mean, that's a pretty tough guy to beat. So I did say it was going to be very, very close, but that I thought Shore was going to win that. And that's exactly what we saw. It was completely dead even the whole time, really, I would say. Both of them landed their own combos, doing some good work on the feet. Valiev, I thought, probably got the first round because of a nice takedown and a bit of extra activity, but it was pretty close. In the second round, though, Shore got the takedown first. Valiev got up, though, and got a quick takedown of his own. They both kind of kept going back and forth, really the whole round. And I mean, really, I thought the first 2 rounds were completely dead even. I wasn't really sure which way the judges were going to go. I was thinking probably maybe Valiev the first round, maybe Shore the second. But, again, it was so close. I don't know. Then in the third, that's when it started to switch over. Shore kind of got his momentum going, dropped Valiev with a big one, threatened a submission there. Shore did find himself in a bad spot, got locked in a pretty deep guillotine attempt, but to really put a stamp on it, though, Shore drilled Valiev with another big one, dropped him for the second time in the same round. So of course, he won that one. I saw it 29-28, but the last one was pretty dominant. So one of the judges actually did give it 29-27, but they all had it at the very least 29-28 for sure. So that one made a lot of sense. The next one, prelim pick number 3. Oh, well, prelim number 4, but the one I had talked about last week, a number 3. That was Nikita Krilov, Paul Craig. Again, I thought this was going to be pretty close. I had Craig by finish specifically because of how good he is on the ground. Because and I even said this last week, I mean, he snapped Jamal Hill's arm in half, like literally was dangling, like completely snapped in half. So, I mean, when you do that to somebody, you have very clear submission skills and you're obviously very, very good. And he has so many submission wins, while Krilov actually has quite a few submission losses. So that's why I was going with Craig on that. Right away, Craig tried to get that going, but I would say he jumped in a little too quick and it ended up in a very, very bad spot right away. And now he was there for a couple minutes, I would say 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, he was on the bottom, getting smashed with some ground and pound. But then out of nowhere, he slipped Krilov into a absolutely insane arm triangle from the bottom, squeezed as hard as he could, and got a submission win. That was another bonus for me. That was insane to watch. And I mean, like I said, I'll go into it later, but at the post-fight press conference, Dana was even talking about why they gave bonuses to so many people. And it was like, honestly, I was even having a hard time picking somebody. So, I mean, they were having a hard time too. That's why they gave a bonus to everybody. But yeah, you had to give a bonus to Craig for doing that because it was crazy. I mean, it was absolutely insane to watch. So another first round submission. So many finishes on this card. I think there were nine finishes or something like that. Anyway, so it was looking, oh yeah, it would have been because 9 bonuses, 9 finishes, makes sense. So even though it was looking rough for Craig, I mean, there's no doubt he deserves to be against somebody in the top 5, especially in the light heavyweight division. There's not too many that are like, oh, okay, like this person's something special. This person's something really good. The only person that I can say that really with is Yuri right now. And I mean, yeah, Jan is kind of up there, but he's pretty old. Same as Glover. Glover's good. I mean, he is the champ, but he's pretty old too. So I kind of think those two are they're kind of making their way out. Yuri is the only person that I can really see that's young enough and talented enough to be like, oh, okay, this guy's going to be good for a long time. But Paul Craig is somebody that I can see that would be doing something like that. He's just got to not find himself in those terrible positions so often. Because, I mean, they dragged him on Twitter for that because like he's found himself in that position so much. But anyway, so we've already discussed the future of most of the top 5 here. I was saying, obviously Glover versus Yuri for the belt. We already knew that. We know that's going to happen. I think they already scheduled it. I don't remember when though. And then I was saying Ankalaev and Yan for the possible kind of number 1 contender, maybe after that. So really that just leaves Rakic and Smith, and they were considering fighting each other, but I didn't hear much else about it. I think that ended up falling apart for some reason. Craig mentioned it himself. The fight would make sense to be Anthony Smith and Craig. I would love to see that, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's probably what we're going to be seeing next. As for Krilov, Walker makes a lot of sense because Walker just lost to Santos. It makes sense. They're both kind of on their way down a little bit, but it would still be a very interesting fight. After that, it was Sergey Pavlovich, Shamil Abdurakhimov, another first round finish in classic heavyweight fashion. It was pretty slow to start. And then, of course, the bomb started flying around. Pavlovich started to get slightly more active, landed some bigger shots there. And then Pavlovich landed an uppercut, dropped Shamil, let loose some ridiculous ground and pound until the ref was forced to step in and stop it. I thought it was maybe a little bit of an early stoppage, but I've said this before and we've seen it quite a few times. It's like, yeah, maybe it was early for the ref to stop it, but at the same time, was Shamil going to be able to get up and do much about it? Not really. I don't think so. So, in the end, when you see that, it's a fair win, nothing too early there. So that was another first round finish for Pavlovich on that one. Fight number 6, Makwan Amirkhani and Mike Grundy. A lot of people were saying that Amirkhani was going to lose this. He was the betting underdog by, not quite a bit, but he was like, I think it was like plus 180 or something like that. And I specifically said, I even put it in my picks there, that I thought Amirkhani was actually going to win this one. I thought, because he looked good in his last fight, he just made a simple mistake and got knocked out because of it. But honestly, I thought he was looking good going into this. So I had picked him, and this was another one that I had gotten right. And I hope that you cashed in on this guy as an underdog. I did. I put some money on it. I put it in the article because I knew he was looking good. And this was one of those underdogs that you had to take advantage of. And I hope that you did, because he got the first round submission win right away. Grundy found himself in a terrible position, threw himself a little bit too hard in a takedown, and Amirkhani never let go of his neck. Absolutely not. He was struggling and flailing around the whole time, Grundy was. But, he was doing that for about 30 seconds, but ultimately Makwan put him to sleep with an incredible first round submission win. Like full out taking a nap asleep. Absolutely insane to watch. And I'm so happy that Amirkhani got it going. I love the guy. He's so exciting to watch. He's a great guy. Mr. Finland. He also has the best Tapology page out of anybody I've ever seen. Seriously, if you go to Tapology and look up Makwan Amirkhani, Mr. Finland, oh my goodness, best Tapology page anybody could ask for. Amazing. That actually was the last prelim. After that, we had the main card, was Jai Herbert, Ilya Topuria. I had Topuria by finish here, but I did say how close it was going to be, because like I said, Topuria used to be down in featherweight. That's where he's used to be fighting. He's used to being the bigger guy who just preys on, the featherweights, because he's so powerful and he's so big and so quick and so skilled. But in this one, I knew it was going to be a problem. Herbert, of course, is a true lightweight, so he's cutting down to there. I think he had the extra reach too. I can't remember. But, because of his recent kind of record, and then, of course, comparing that to Topuria's undefeated 11-0, you had to go with Topuria. So I thought, he could kind of go to a decision win, but that, he was so powerful that he was probably going to get a finish. That's what I said last time. And less than a minute in, he found himself in some deep trouble. Topuria got dropped with a huge head kick. I mean, honestly, I thought it was over right there. I thought all of the parlays were gone. I mean, it was looking bad. But amazingly, he got over that, got a tough takedown, dragged Herbert to the ground, and he held that position for a couple of minutes until Jai managed to get back up, and he let loose some crisp combos that was making Ilya look bad again. It was looking real rough. Herbert seemed to be landing the better shots, but both of them, were putting together some pretty good combos. So, not to say that Herbert was running away with it, but he was definitely ahead, doing better there. Topuria came in hungry at the start of the next round. I guess he was just getting used to it. I don't know what was happening, but he landed some amazing combos. Then right at the end of one of those, he landed an absolutely massive one. I mean, it was so quick, the combo. If you see the replay, it's insane to watch. I mean, it looked like the slow-mo looked like it was regular. I mean, it was so fast. Absolutely insane. And on any other card, any other night, that would have been an easy choice for KO of the night. In fact, I was actually thinking of making up the KO of the night bonus already at that point, because I was like, there's no way that any KO could possibly beat what we just saw here, because that was insane. So, of course, he got a bonus, but it was not for KO of the night. That was in the next fight, which we'll talk about after this. But yeah, absolutely insane. So what do we see next for Topuria? He proved that he does have, of course, the skill and the power to knock a lightweight out cold, because I mean, Herbert was down. Like, he was on the ground. And even when they were reading out the decision, Herbert was not back yet. He was still on the ground. So, I mean, it was absolutely devastating. But can he do that against a ranked lightweight? Honestly, I don't think so. Because, there's the lightweight division is so stacked, and every single person in the top 15, would probably give him they would give him a much harder time, and I don't know if he could overcome it like he did with Herbert. I just don't see it. Maybe he could actually no. Oh yeah, I did right for lightweight. Maybe somebody like Ferreira would be okay. That was kind of the only person that I was seeing in the top 15 that would be okay for him. But I mean, anybody like Fiziev, Sarukian, Riddell, they're just too strong, too skilled. They're too well-rounded and all that, really, for Topuria to handle right now. I just can't see it. They're just too big and too strong for him. So that being said, though, in the featherweight division, oh my God, yeah, he's a problem. He is a huge problem in the featherweight division, and I could see him beating anybody really from 5 to 10. And I think he could have a pretty good chance at beating most of the people in the top 5. It would be pretty close. So I'm thinking going back down to featherweight, staying there. That's the deal with Topuria, I would say. Somebody like Ige, somebody like Yusuf or Giga, that would make a lot of sense. Both of them would have a harder time. All three of those guys would have a hard time with Topuria. And, Topuria would, of course, be challenged by them, too. They would all be close fights, and I would love to see that. That's what I think is next for him. That's what should be next for him. But like I said, if he stays at lightweight, probably Ferreira is the only person that he's going to have a chance with. But the other ones, I just don't see it. Stay down at featherweight, and he will clean up. He'll be top 5 in no time. And I hope he does stay down there, because he's so exciting and so good. I can't wait to see what he does. The next one was Molly McCann, Luana Carolina. And I mean, oh my God, for everybody's sake, I hope they've all seen Molly McCann's knockout and what she did after that. I mean, her knockout was just as amazing as what she did after the knockout. It was absolutely insane to watch. The crowd exploded. I mean, KO of the night here, of course. Of course, I had McCann here. I was going by decision, of course, because, you don't usually see too many finishes in the women's, especially with flyweights there. Especially with two that are, not necessarily known for their finishes. So I thought we were going to see a decision here. And of course, I was going with McCann because, and like I said last time, it was because of what Lupi Godinez was doing. Because, like, if you're 115 pounds and you're having a pretty good chance against somebody who's a true flyweight like Carolina, it's not looking good for Carolina there. So I was thinking McCann was just going to kind of run away with the decision here. But anyway, McCann, by the way, she has the shortest reach in the entire UFC. And she was at a 7-inch reach disadvantage, which is absolutely insane for flyweight. I mean, that's crazy to see. But yeah, anyway, got past that. A couple minutes into the fight, didn't matter. The reach didn't matter at all. Molly wobbled her. Wow, that's a silly tongue twister. Molly wobbled her a couple of times. Luana was stumbling away, trying to run away along the fence. And really, this continued through the entire opening round. McCann was landing combos all over the place. Dozens of punches, slipping all of Luana's counters. I mean, Luana wasn't landing anything at all. McCann was just on a whole other level today. I mean, that night. Instead of rattling off some more combos, though, McCann moved the fight to the ground. I think that was in the second round. I didn't write that down. She was doing some pretty good work there, but decided to get back up and get on the feet, which makes sense. I mean, if you're doing that well on the feet, why drag it to the ground? It doesn't make any sense. So of course you get back up. And then to show her dominance even more, she ended the second round with a huge slam, landing right on top of Carolina. It was crazy to see. The whole fight was honestly insane, and the crowd was going crazy the whole time. Carolina started to maybe get a couple of good shots going, but then out of nowhere, Meatball Molly McCann threw a wild spinning elbow, knocked Carolina out clean. And the entire arena, the entire MMA community really was on their feet, exploded for really the early contender for KO of the year. Absolutely fucking crazy, because you don't normally see women get knocked out like that. You normally see, like, okay, there's a lot of TKOs, like where the ref is like, okay, the other person's not doing anything, I gotta stop it. Sometimes you see a decent KO, but not like this. Like, Carolina was out, like out. Even when she was Molly McCann, she jumped out of the octagon, grabbed a replica belt from some kid in the audience, apparently, dragged it into the octagon, running around. I mean, it was amazing to watch. And then also gave a hug to Dana White in the process. And meanwhile, the whole time, Carolina was still on the ground, like fully knocked out. It was not like, that was like pretty much as out as you could get. So to see that, I mean, that's crazy, especially after a spinning elbow. I mean, come on. Absolutely insane. So of course, that was my KO of the night, not the Topuria one, even though that was also amazing. And of course, Topuria also got a bonus, but not KO of the night. Molly McCann wrapped that up. And easily, I mean, I'm calling it right now. She's obviously got KO of the month. And like I said, definitely in the lead for KO of the year so far. So what's next? I mean, obviously, Carolina, just really on a completely, McCann's just on a completely different level, really. It's because of that it seems really, McCann seems to have fully proven now she deserves a spot in a fight against somebody in the top 15, I would say. And I think it's pretty obvious, to be honest, that she'd beat Maycee Barber. I like Maycee Barber, but I just don't think she's doing anything really to say that she deserves to be in the top 15 right now. Absolutely nothing, really. So I think the obvious person to get rid of her would be McCann. But you know what? Who knows? Who knows who Barber's going to end up fighting? She did have to pull out. a couple weeks ago. But I also think, though, that she'll be able to compete against Grasso or Calvillo. I mean, Grasso, I think, is actually going to be fighting this week. I can't remember. I think she is. We'll be talking about. Actually, I can check right now. She is. Yes, against Wood. For some reason, Bet99 still has it as Calderwood, but that's not her name anymore. It's Wood. Anyway, next one was Gunnar Nelson, Takashi Sato. I specifically told I thought anyway, that this was going to be very, very even, but that Nelson would probably just use his ground control to win the whole fight. I didn't think it was going to be that dominant. Oh, I did say, though, that we were probably going to see a finish just because of, I think they're at light heavyweight. What are they at? Oh, I don't think I wrote down what they were. Anyway, they've all been either finished or done the finishing quite a bit, both of them. So I thought we were going to see a finish and that Nelson would do it. And it was probably going to be on the ground. Instead, we did see ground dominance. We did not see a finish, though. It was just a really dominant decision by Nelson. I mean, all 3 rounds were really just on the ground, ground and pound, going for submissions, but mostly just ground and pound, controlling him the entire fight. And Sato really never got anything going. And all 3 of the judges actually agreed. They all had it 30-26. So, nothing really going for Sato there. And Nelson really, after like a 2-year layoff there, looked amazing. And, I hope we see another fight from him soon. What a great guy. From Iceland. You don't normally see that either. That's really cool. Next, we had Paddy Pimblett and Rodrigo Vargas. I thought this was going to be pretty close. And you know what? It kind of was. And like I said, we'll get into it after, but I don't know. I said this last time, Pimblett did not deserve to be called a heavy favorite. He was like minus, what was he? Like minus 400 or something like that, maybe more. He in no way deserved that whatsoever. And that was made obvious pretty early on. I did say he was going to win, though, and I did say he was probably going to get a finish. But still, to call him a heavy favorite like that, completely unwarranted. I don't think so. So yeah, it was no surprise right away. Obviously, the biggest cheers of the night, the biggest draw of the night, obviously was Paddy. That's really who everybody was there to see. So yeah, the whole place exploded. I mean, I couldn't stop smiling. It was so amazing to see. I mean, the trailer for him going in, really, I mean, it's crazy to have a trailer like that when he's not the co-main, he's not the main, and it's only his 2nd fight in the UFC, and he already has a whole trailer going for him. And by the way, one of the best walk-in trailers I've ever seen. I mean, it was absolutely hilarious. It was hysterical. It was so funny, and I hope that they keep doing that for him. I'm so glad they did that. But anyway, that being said, I said this last time that this was going to be a tough fight. Right away, Vargas took Pimblett down to control the offense, and right away I was like, this is exactly what I said. I mean, I still think Pimblett's probably going to somehow win this, but he's not going to make it look easy. I mean, he's having a rough time here. Paddy managed to get back up. Vargas kept the control going along the fence. But that was when Paddy flipped it around. He got the position back, slammed him to the ground to take his back. And really from there, I mean, it was pretty obvious that it was going to end pretty soon because Paddy is so good on the ground. And that's why I worry about, like I said, when he goes against a real striker, somebody that can stay on their feet and can't go down, that's when I would be worried. But anyway, got the hooks in, got another amazing first round finish, lit the stadium on fire with that. And of course, Molly McCann, being so excited, jumped into the octagon with him. Apparently they're really close training partners. I mean, just amazing to see. The whole stadium was chanting and cheering. I mean, I'm a fan and I love that he won, but I will say the future for him, and this is what I said last time, and I still stand by that completely. He's an entertainer. Of course he is. Of course he's an entertainer. He's tough and he's skilled, but I still stick with what I said. He's good enough to beat people like Vargas, who haven't really done much in the UFC. He's definitely good enough to do that, but he would get absolutely destroyed by anybody close to the top 15. And I mean that even like top 20. He would get absolutely annihilated by somebody like that. And he's got this feud going with Topuria, which, by the way, he backtracked on. I mean, he did say, he's not on my level, blah, 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 sanitizer boy. That's what he called him. But I mean, I think he's got that a bit backwards. I mean, even from what I saw today, I mean, not today, but, with Topuria on this card, yes, he got smoked and was losing that fight by Herbert. But honestly, I think Patty would have a huge problem with Topuria. I mean, I think it would be a fairly close fight because Topuria is a featherweight. Patty's definitely a lightweight. So, I think they're both going to have a hard time. But honestly, I would be surprised if Topuria didn't win that. Yeah, he's got a long way to go before he gets anybody in the top 15. And I know, well, I mean, he even said it because he's got still an entry-level contract. So apparently he only got $12,000 to show and $12,000 if he won, which is literally as basic as it gets. And I mean, he was really the main draw of that. So, I mean, you could easily have seen him getting a new contract of maybe even like $100K to show up and $100K to win. Because, I mean, he is the main draw. So, anyway, he won't be fighting anybody in the top 50. He even said he won't fight anybody that's ranked until he gets a new contract. And honestly, even then, I wouldn't recommend it because you're not going to win that. Even though, like I said, I like him. He's just not good enough yet to do that. But who knows? He's still young. He can still obviously improve quite a bit. Not enough right now, though. I just don't see it. But, maybe in the future. I hope he does. I hope he does. Could you imagine seeing Patty the Batty as a champ? Oh my God. I would love that. I personally would love that. But we're a long ways away from that. In the co-main after that, my God, Arnold Allen, Dan Hooker. This was my favorite matchup of the night because I knew how close and how good it was going to be, or at least so I thought. I mean, it was fairly close, but still. Actually, no, it wasn't. What am I saying? Allen, I had him by decision because I thought, okay, this could go one of two ways here. Either Hooker is going to have some weight problems. And I mean, I wouldn't really say weight problems. I knew that he was going to make weight, but how is that going to affect you? And I thought there was going to be a problem with that because even at lightweight, he's pretty big. I mean, he's the same size as me. He's the same height as me, 5'11-ish, 6 feet. So, if you're completely jacked like Hooker is, that means you're probably walking around at 170, 165, something like that. So to cut down to lightweight is bad enough. That's 155. You're losing probably 15, 20 pounds. That's a lot. But then to go even farther than that, to go to featherweight, then you're talking about 25, 30 pounds. Like that's much harder on the stamina, much harder on the chin. Because, your brain's being like essentially dehydrated. You're sucking all of the water out of your body, which is what your brain needs to function. So not necessarily good. And your cardio can go out the window too. And that's exactly what we saw. I mean, his chin just wasn't up to it. But not only that, honestly, Allen was just way better. He was just way more skilled on the feet too. It wasn't even that, yes, I mean, of course, Hooker was having a problem because he kept getting hit. And I mean, he was running away the whole time because he kept getting hit. But, Allen was just also more skilled. And I said that was also going to be a problem too. Because I mean, he's 17-1. I mean, when you're 17-1 and you're ranked like that, I mean, what rank was he? I don't think it even said on here. I don't think I wrote it down. I think he was ranked like 7th or 8th or something. So, I mean, like he's 17-1 and he's ranked in the top 10. So clearly he's going to be very skilled. And he's on an 8 fights in a row in the UFC. So, whereas Hooker was on his way down. So that's why I gave Allen the edge. But anyway, so yeah, Allen was just obviously just way, way more skilled. I mean, it wasn't even close, really. Honestly, I don't even think Hooker really landed anything at all, really. Like, I think he probably got a few strikes. I know he probably got a few strikes in, but nothing at all that was even remotely substantial, remotely significant at all. I mean, Hooker was on wobbly legs almost the entire time because Allen kept blitzing him with all these combos, stunned him, stumbled him all over the place, barely able to stay on his feet, honestly. And in the end, after getting hit with another few combos, Hooker's night was ended. The ref just had to stop it. And you know what? When I was watching it, and I think everybody watching it was kind of like, it was a little bit early. Like, we know Hooker could have gotten through that and kept going because it wasn't really that impressive of a TKO. But at the same time, it's like he literally wasn't landing anything the entire fight. He was just getting smoked. I mean, he was knocked down a couple of times, stumbling all over the place, literally running away in the octagon. I mean, it's not looking good. So, that's still a fair win. Was it a little early? Maybe about 30 seconds early. But again, nothing else was going to happen there. So Arnold Allen got another amazing performance. And that was actually the performance that Dana White thought was the best of the night. He thought that one was the best of the night. I think it was probably the second best of the night. The best one was actually in the main event, which we'll talk about after this. I thought anyway. But I mean, so many people had so many different opinions because, I mean, a lot of people were saying McCann had the best one. Allen had the best one. Aspinall had the best one. Topuria had the best comeback, or Craig had the best comeback. I mean, like, there were so many different opinions on who could have gotten some of the bonuses. I mean, it was insane. But anyway, what is the future? What is the future for both of these guys? I mean, even though Hooker made the cut to featherweight, I even said it last week. I didn't think this was going to work out very well. And I stand by that. Obviously, it didn't work out very well. But honestly, I don't think he should ever do that again. And Allen said this the best way possible because he loves Hooker too. Respecting everything that Hooker is and what he's done, I don't think he should ever do that again. Like, he's good. He's so good. Stay at lightweight. Just don't even bother trying that again because it's just not good. It's not good for him. I mean, long-term health-wise too. It's not good when you're depleting your body like that. It's just not good all around. And then, of course, then you get absolutely destroyed the entire fight. It's just not good. Like, just go back to lightweight. I hope that they're going to keep him around. I mean, I know the UFC would want him to keep around because he's a huge draw. Everybody loves Hooker, but he's not really winning. He's not really doing much. So it's tough to say what's going to happen with Hooker. I hope that he sticks around, and I hope that, maybe he'll be like kind of some kind of gatekeeper, the top, like maybe 10 to 15, or maybe even people outside the top 15 will come and, take their shot against Hooker to get in there. But he's not making a run up anytime soon. Like, it's just not looking good. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see. I love the guy. But yeah. As for Allen, I mean, yes, like, he did absolutely destroy Hooker, who didn't look good at all. But you got to remember who Hooker is. He still finished him and dominated him. Like, it's not like Hooker forgot how to fight. Like, he still had all of the skills. He still had all the tools. But that just proves how good Allen also is. Like, that's the other side of the coin here. Yes, Hooker didn't look great, and the weight cut was probably a problem. But Allen was just unbelievable how good he was. So, I mean, really, I think he could really beat anybody in the top 5, honestly. And I think he mentioned Calvin Kattar for the next one. And I think that is actually a perfect person for him. Because Yair was so good against Holloway. Maybe he'll get a title shot next. I was actually a little bit surprised that he didn't get it before the Korean Zombie there. I mean, yeah, Yair was pretty banged up, but that was a while ago. Like, he could probably have come back and done it. But anyway, yeah, so Yair, that's probably what's next for him. And then you've got, like I said, Calvin Kattar. Kelvin Kattar makes sense because he dominantly won that last one. But also Ortega would make a lot of sense because he's also coming off that title shot loss. So, that would make a lot of sense too. But of course, Ortega was just mangled in that last one. And that was only 6 months ago. So I think he might even be still a few months away from anywhere close to another fight like that. I don't know. But that would be an amazing fight to see too. And then, of course, Emmett as well. Emmett is also just as interesting. So, I mean, the top 5 at featherweight is fascinating now. It's so good. I mean, you've got Allen, you've got Ortega, Rodriguez, Emmett, Korean Zombie, who's about to lose, Holloway, and then, of course, the champ. And I mean, you know what? Honestly, I think Allen is one good win away from challenging for that title because everybody else has had 2 shots already, or at least one. Holloway's had 2 shots at it already. Ortega lost, got absolutely destroyed. So, who else is there really that's there to challenge? And I think Allen is going to be one of the next ones. I think by the end of the year, well, probably not because he doesn't fight that often and he's in the UK. So he's probably got 1 fight left this year, make a good performance there, and then come back next year to get a title shot. I could totally see that happening. The main event of the night. We're there. We're there, folks. We're there in the main event. Alexander Volkov, Tom Aspinall. I said this was going to be fairly close, but I said Aspinall was going to win by decision. And funny enough, Aspinall himself said in the post-fight interview that he thought it was going to go to a decision too. But it's also kind of weird. You don't know what to expect from Aspinall. And he also talked about that after too, because we haven't really seen much of him because he's been winning so quick. We don't know what he's capable of. So I said he was probably going to control Volkov with clinch along the fence, maybe some ground control if he could get him down there. And my God, did he get him down there. He showed that he had a huge speed advantage, which is amazing to have in the heavyweight division. He was so much faster. And I mean, he was lighting him up all over the place with these combos. And then out of absolutely nowhere, and I was actually surprised that he was able to do this, he flew Volkov over his head, slammed him down. 6'7", 260-pound Volkov slammed him down into the ground as the lighter man, and it was all over from there, really. I mean, Aspinall split Volkov open with some massive elbows, threatened with some submission attempts all over the place. Volkov managed to get back, but was dragged down again. And I mean, from there, that was pretty much it. Terrible spot for Volkov, and almost got his arm snapped in half by Aspinall there with a rare arm lock submission. I don't think I've ever even seen an arm lock submission until now. And to win in the very first round. By the way, that is the reason why this was submission of the night for me, is because Volkov has, I don't remember here. Yeah. He's had 44 fights in his career, Volkov. He's only been finished 5 times, including this one. And it's also only the second time in his UFC career that he was finished. That's insane. So for Aspinall to do that in the first round with an arm lock submission of all things, that's absolutely insane. And that's why it was my blue bonus. And it probably will hold up as submission of the month, because that is so impressive. Not only was it an extremely rare submission, but it was over somebody that never gets finished. So, I mean, that's just crazy. And he did it in the first round. I mean, I can't even say how impressive that really was. And we still don't really know much about him. We still haven't seen everything that he can do. I mean, he's just that good. He's so good. I mean, I'm so impressed after this. And that's even what I said leading up to it. He's part of this new wave of heavyweights like Ciryl Gane. It's really just the two of them at this point. It's Aspinall and Ciryl Gane. Those are the only two that fight this kind of way, where they're maybe not the 265 range, maybe even 255, but they're so fast, they're so skilled that none of the other weights can catch up with them and deal with their well-rounded skill set, except for, of course, Francis, because he's a fucking animal. But, you know, like, there's nobody else. There's absolutely nobody else in the division that can handle Ciryl Gane or Aspinall. And that is why I think that is what's next for him, except for Stipe, maybe. We always forget about Stipe, but Stipe is very well-rounded himself, and I think we should see him again soon. I mean, what's Stipe doing here? We got to see him back. And of course, Jon Jones. We haven't seen Jon Jones in a while, or a long time either, actually. And he hasn't fought a heavyweight yet. By the way, I thought this was hilarious. I was playing UFC 4 just yesterday, and Jon Jones is in the heavyweight division on UFC 4, and he hasn't even fought at heavyweight in the UFC. What is happening? Why did they put him there? He hasn't even fought there yet. Anyway, whatever. So what's next? What is next for Aspinall? Let's see. What did I have here? Blah, 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 blah. I said all that. Tom was faster, more accurate, still somehow managed to control and throw Volkov to the ground, like I said. So I really think there's only 3 people. There's only 3 guys on the entire planet that would even have a chance of beating Aspinall right now. And that is exactly who I just mentioned. Stipe, Gane, Ngannou. That's it. Personally, if he doesn't get any of those fights, I think that's who he should get. One of those. He's saying he wants to fight Tuivasa, and you know what? Okay. I'm totally fine with that too. That would be entertaining too. It would suck for Tuivasa, because I think really any of those 4 guys is an absolute nightmare for him, and he's going to get finished pretty quick there. That's going to be a problem. But who knows? I mean, Tuivasa's young. You never know. But anyway, that could be an exciting one. But yeah, if he doesn't get any of those, that would obviously be the easiest fight for him too, by the way. I should really keep paying attention to what I wrote down here. Obviously, the Tuivasa fight would be the easiest for him. I think he should get one of the top 3. That's what I think. Of course, Ngannou's out, so it's probably going to be Gane or Stipe. We might even see him in an interim title fight, because we're not going to be seeing Ngannou for the next 9 months, they said, because of his injury. So we're going to see another interim title fight. I would say Gane is the obvious choice to be in the interim title fight. And then who do you do? Do you do Stipe? Maybe. He deserves it. We haven't seen him in a while, but he was the last champ. So why not? Why not put him in there? Also, and then the other person, really the only other person that I can think that would even have a chance, like I said, is Aspinall. So we could even see him in an interim title bout. And you know what? I think this would be perfect marketing, UFC, if you're listening. I would say the next time you go to London, because they're planning on going back there one time this year, interim title fight, Aspinall, Gane, London, amazing. Do that. That would be crazy. Or they did say they're going to Paris. Or, you know, why not do that in Paris? The same thing. Aspinall, Gane, Paris, interim title bout. Do it. I think they're going to do it. And they did say, since they're going to Paris, I would be shocked. I mean, Gane is obviously going to be on the card, but because that'll probably be after that 6-month period where Francis defended his title, where they do the interim title bout again, I could easily see Gane fighting for an interim title bout in Paris. I think that's what we're going to see, and that's going to be crazy. I really think that's going to happen. Marketing, I think that's what they're going to do. Anyway, if he doesn't get any of those, if Aspinall doesn't get any of those, which he really should, like I said, Aspinall Gane, either in London or Paris, that'd be an insane pay-per-view. But anyway, I think Derek Lewis would also make sense. Why not? Why not do Derek Lewis? Because Derek Lewis still hasn't really, he's kind of in a weird in-between spot where he can't beat somebody like Gane, probably wouldn't beat Stipe, not going to beat Ngannou, obviously, but he can beat pretty much everybody else. Apparently except for Tuivasa. So maybe Aspinall would also make sense there. I don't know. But yeah, wow, that was a lot. The heavyweight division is looking good. That's all I know. And all my bonuses, I said Molly McCann, KO of the night. Sub of the night, Tom Aspinall, of course. And then I gave out 5 most valuable fighter bonuses because I just couldn't pick. And like I said, the UFC did the exact same thing. They gave out 9 bonuses. So it wasn't just me being crazy here. They were all just so absolutely insanely good for different reasons. I had to give them all one. So I gave one to Mokaya for being basically rookie of the month. And I mean, to do that in your debut, second fastest submission in flyweight history, youngest person on the entire roster, doing that, crazy. Topuria got one. He was getting smoked in the first round, absolutely getting destroyed. And then he got what would have been KO of the month against that, like an insane comeback KO win at walk-off KO, by the way. I didn't even mention that. Didn't even have to follow it up. Completely walk-off KO, slumped to the canvas. Absolutely insane to see. So, of course, he got a bonus there. Then I gave Paul Craig a bonus for that comeback submission win, which was insane. So, of course, I gave him a bonus too. Then I gave Arnold Allen a bonus because you can't do that to Hooker and not get a bonus. Again, first round finish. Barely even got hit. Destroyed Hooker. Of course he got a bonus. And the final bonus, how do you not give one to Paddy Pimblett, the star of the night? I mean, you know, he's not good enough to challenge the top 15, but my God, is he entertaining. And of course, he's going to bring in the money and the views to the UFC. So those were all of my bonuses for the night. We're going to take a quick 45-second break or so. And then, of course, we'll talk about UFC Columbus, which is on Saturday. I will see you right after this.
Allow me to introduce High Stick Vodka, a new way to celebrate victory. Gather around the glass with an award-winning, ultra-premium Canadian-made vodka. You probably won't listen when I say High Stick Vodka has a smooth, hard-hitting taste, or that it's developed in the birthplace of hockey. You won't listen when I say High Stick Vodka is a tribute to the game of hockey, or when I tell you it's distilled 4 times using Canada's purest mountain spring water to provide an authentic, remarkable flavor. But maybe you will listen when I say it comes in a f***ing hockey stick. Showcase your passion for hockey with our limited edition hand-blown hockey stick bottle. Whether you're celebrating victory or drinking to defeat, High Stick Vodka is better after every shot. Visit us at highstickvodka.com. It also comes in this regular bottle. Celebrate victory. Drink responsibly.
And we're back. And this week we're going to UFC Columbus, back in the States. And not in Florida or Texas this time, or Vegas, of course. So we're opening the card. We're just going to jump right into it because, of course, we're running late, as always. Well, not only that, we started late, so we're even farther behind, really. Mark Diakiese, Viacheslav Borshchev. Borshchev is actually... I think it was in January. He was rookie of the month. So he's going to try and keep that streak going. I don't think that he could beat what Mokaya did, but who knows? Going for his second appearance of the year already. Amazing performance in his last one. Got a body shot KO, I believe. Yeah, that's hard to do. So I'm going Borshchev on this one because of what he did in his last one. Diakiese also, he came into the UFC with a 9-0 record, but now he's at 14-5, lost his last 2. He's never been finished by KO or TKO, but he has 2 submission losses, and he has struggled a lot against high-level strikers. So that's why I'm going with Borshchev. Borshchev has proven already in his one appearance in the UFC that he really is quite the striker. So if he doesn't win by decision here, he might actually give Diakiese his first TKO loss. I really could see that happening here because Borshchev is pretty powerful, especially if he gets those body kicks going. Again, he could even get a body shot finish again. So I'm going Borshchev by finish here. Where's my banner? Let's see those odds. Give me the banner there. Okay. So for the odds, they have Diakiese at plus 133, Borshchev at minus 167. I think that's pretty fair, I guess, because Borshchev still a rookie, still getting in there. But he obviously still has the advantage because of that power and the skill and all that. And of course, Diakiese's on a 2-fight losing streak. So I would definitely be taking Borshchev at minus 167. That's the very easy choice here. The over-under on this one, over 2.5 plus 122, under 2.5 minus 155. You really could go either way on this. Do you think he's going to get a KO win? I don't know. Because like I said, Diakiese has never been finished by KO or TKO. So it might actually be the smarter idea in this case to go with the over 2.5 at plus 122. Because like I said, never been finished by KO or TKO. Borshchev could do it, but statistically speaking, that's a pretty good looking line at plus 122. Next up, Aleksei Oleinik, the legend, and Ilir Latifi. Oh my goodness. They thought I said Alexa. Anyway, that's so funny. I'm not used to having one of these behind me. I hate them so much. Anyway, that's hilarious. I was going with Oleinik on this. I won't say the first name because I don't want to deal with that again. Which is funny because that's Grasso's first name too. Anyway, they've been fighting in the UFC for a combined 17 years. That is absolutely insane. Oleinik, I think, is 8 years and Latifi is 9 years or something like that. I mean, that's insane. And not only that, the most prolific fighter I've ever seen or heard of. Oleinik has a record of 59, 16 and 1. Going for win number 60 here. That's absolutely insane. I mean, how? That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, but things haven't gone for him recently. He's gone 2-5 in his last 7. But it should be said that all 5 of those guys now are in the top 15, except for Overeem, who has retired from MMA. But all 5 of those guys were in the top 15 and are still in the top 15. And Overeem was in the top 15 when he left. So again, all in the top 15. Latifi has been in the UFC for a year longer than I almost said it, than Oleinik, but he's got a much more modest record at 15-8. And he's also had a rough patch recently, going 1-3 to fairly tough contenders, but not necessarily like Oleinik has. This one really could go either way. I mean, the odds are going to suggest that they're not necessarily either way, but this really could go either way. And personally, I have it in favor of Oleinik on this one because of how insanely good he is on the ground. He is so good on the ground. But not only that, he's one of the toughest people I've ever seen. I mean, he keeps getting smoked on the feet constantly. But it doesn't matter at all. He just walks right through it. He doesn't care, and it doesn't bother him at all. And then, you know what? He ends up getting submissions after all that. So I could easily see him doing that here. He very clearly has the advantage on the ground. So what I think he's going to do is I think he's going to kind of control that offense because Latifi isn't up to that same level that the other 5 were that I was talking about that he lost to. So I think Oleinik's going to be able to control that, get him to the ground, maybe even get a submission. I wouldn't be too surprised, but I think he's probably going to get the decision win here. The odds, minus 200 for Latifi right now, plus 162 for Oleinik. I'm going Oleinik all the way on this one. You know, I do think it's close, but especially considering it is this close, you usually go in favor of the underdog. But that aside, I even think that Oleinik looks better in this case. So plus 162 is a steal. And I guess this is my underdog of the night. Cause like I seem to have one every single week now where I'm like, this underdog shouldn't be an underdog. To me, that's Oleinik on this one. Minus 180. Oh yeah. Over under is at 1.5 rounds right now. The over is at minus 180 and the under 1.5 is plus 140. Honestly, I could very, very easily see this going over 1.5. So, I mean, I think the easy choice is to be at minus 180 here. That's easy money, I would say. I mean, yes, they're heavyweights, but I don't think we're going to be seeing a crazy early finish like that. So, minus 180, looking good. After that, I think this is probably the top matchup of the night for me. I actually know it quite easily probably is the matchup of the night for me. Askar Askarov, Kai Kara France. It's tough for this one, I would say. You've got an undefeated, second-ranked contender on the one side. That's Askarov. And then you've got, of course, Kai Kara France on the other side. But it's not as simple as it seems like that. Askarov is only 4 fights in the UFC, and he hasn't fought for a year. So the craziest part is, though, that all 4 of those, he's beaten Benavidez, Pantoja, and Elliott, and he's had a draw with Moreno. So he hasn't won all of them, obviously because of the draw there. But, I mean, that is an absolutely insane lineup for his only 4 UFC fights. Those are his only 4. And it was Benavidez, Pantoja, Elliott, and then a draw with Moreno. So that's crazy. And I mean, he obviously has the advantage in that department. Kai isn't undefeated, of course. He's got a decent record still, though. 6 wins, 2 losses in the UFC. And of course, more recently, he got that highlight reel KO over Garbrandt for in the first round last time he was there. But yeah, I think this is a little more even than people are giving Kai Kara France credit for. Yes, he's undefeated. He hasn't lost. He's fought some of the best people, but again, he hasn't fought in a while. You know, and since Askarov hasn't fought, Kai has actually gotten 2 first-round TKOs since then, since Askarov last fought. And he's getting better. So Kai Kara France is on his way up, and really on his way up, flying up there, really getting so much better and getting a lot of steam with those wins. While Askarov, we haven't seen in a year, and he hasn't done anything, so we don't really know. That being said, you probably got to go in favor of Askarov just because of those people that he's beaten. He, like I said, he beat, what did I say? Benavidez, Pantoja, and Elliott. And I don't even know if Kai Kara France could beat Pantoja or even Benavidez. I'm not really sure. He could probably beat Elliott. And a draw with Moreno. So I don't know. But yeah, you got to lean towards the undefeated one. And it seems like Askar Askarov is just way more well-rounded, I would say. So I think Askar is probably going to be using, you know, that classic, I think he's Dagestani, use that wrestling, kind of just control him along the fence, you know, throw him on the ground, because Kai Kara France is a striker. You know, beat him like that. I think that's probably what's going to happen. But, you know, crazier things have happened, and Kai Kara France is very, very good. So, you know, I don't know. I'm going with Askarov, and I'd put it in a parlay, but it's closer than people are thinking. Askarov, the odds on this one, minus 375 for Askarov, and Kai Kara France is at plus 280. I don't think that it's that wildly one-sided, but, you know, I would still put it in a parlay for Askarov at minus 375. Over under on this one, over 2.5 at minus 217, under 2.5 plus 166. Like I said, this is probably going to be a decision, but you never know. You know, somebody could get finished here. Askarov could get a submission. I don't know if Kai Kara France could get a KO. You never know. But I would probably say the safer one here is the over at minus 217. Maybe even make that into its own little parlay there. After that, I don't know why this is after it, but it is. Matt Brown, Bryan Barberena, both of them been around forever. Brown has been around since 2008, Barberena since 2014. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. Really, they're both very, very similar, and the odds are pretty much dead even too. The only difference that I see here, because they've both kind of been struggling to get any wins going, I think either one of them could really win this. I really do. The only difference, though, is that I keep seeing that Brown has been getting finishes recently, while Barberena has been going to decisions or getting knocked out. So considering Matt Brown is getting knockouts, even this late in his career, while Barberena hasn't been getting finishes or he's been getting knocked out, I think that, to me, you got to give the advantage to Brown on that one. Yeah, so that's what I'm going here. Also, he's got the small 4-inch edge in reach there. So Brown just has a couple of slight edges there. That's why I'm going for Brown there. The odds, -113 for Brown, -109 for Barberena. So really, they couldn't be that much closer. But yeah, the clear pick for me, because there's nothing going for Barberena, I've got to go with Brown. So who knows? We could make some real good money on that one, especially if you throw, I don't know if I would throw that in a parlay, but you could, because he does look better. Anyway, over under is at 2.5 right now. Over 2.5 is +125. Under 2.5, -163. I think that's probably fair. We probably are seeing a finish here. And that is why I said that Brown was probably going to get a finish here, especially since, like I said, Brown is getting those finishes. So might not be a bad idea to actually go with the under on this one, but you never know. With two guys this old, maybe we will see an over 2.5 +125. Not terrible. Not terrible. That's actually pretty good. Not going to lie. For some reason, again, I don't really know why this is the co-main event, but you got Joanne Wood, Aleksei Grasso, another ranked fight. By the way, there's so many ranked women's fights, and they're actually all in the prelims, which I'll talk about after. Again, I don't know why there's so many, especially not in the main card. It seems strange. Like Oleinik could probably be the featured prelim. Move Wood and Grasso down. I don't know. Anyway, Joanne Wood and Grasso, which I will not say her first name or else the device behind me will start up. But that's her name. In the co-main, like I said, two high-ranked women. It is the 7th-ranked Wood, also known as, formerly known as Calderwood, which is what Bet99 has her at still. I don't know why. And Grasso. To me, this one is kind of a coin toss. Actually, it is definitely a coin toss. It's a lot closer than people think it is, and the odds are going to suggest that it's wildly in favor of somebody. I have to disagree. But I will say the odds and the recent history of all of them tell me that Grasso is ahead. Why? I will say, because I forgot to say that part because I skipped a lot here. Grasso is much younger. She's been in the UFC since all the way back in 2016, but she is a lot younger than Wood. So that's already an advantage right there. She's had a few losses just like Wood. I almost said Calderwood, but she's 13-3 overall. And she won her last 2 against Ji-Yeon Kim and Macy Barber. So that's pretty good, as opposed to Wood, who has losses. Where are they? She had 2 losses in a row last year. A first-round loss to Tyler Santos, which makes sense. Santos is pretty good. But then a close split decision loss to Lauren Murphy. So it's tight because those are 2 pretty good fighters. But, you kind of got to give the edge to the person who's on their way up, got that momentum. She's also younger. So I'm going with Grasso on this. But I really could see Wood putting something special together and winning the fight. But statistically speaking, we're probably going to see a Grasso win here. The odds, plus 190 for Wood. Again, I keep reading it. It's Wood. It's not Calderwood. Joanne Wood, plus 190. Minus 240 for Grasso here. You still got to go with Grasso because she looks good. But hey, if you're liking the underdog on this one, because it is that close, I'm not opposed to going plus 190 on Wood. Over under, of course, on this one is at 2.5. Minus 334 for over 2.5. Makes sense. Put that in a parlay even. Plus 250 for under 2.5. Again, makes so much sense, of course, because we're talking about the women, and they both also have a lot of decisions. Finally, the main event. Curtis Razor Blaydes and Chris Daukaus. By the way, one of my favorite nicknames of all time, Razor Blaydes. You can't get much better than that. That's so cool. Anyway, that is closing out the night. Blaydes, one of the most impressive runs in heavyweight history, really. 10-3-1 since joining the UFC in 2016. And 2 of those losses are to Ngannou. One of them is to, I didn't write that down. I don't think it was that. Actually, no. No, I didn't write it down. But 2 of them are to Ngannou. So those are 2 out of his 3 losses. So, I mean, really, he hasn't really lost that much. So he's looking pretty good. Daukaus also has looked pretty good, but he's only got a record of 4-1. He hasn't really been around as long. And of course, that one loss was to Lewis. Got absolutely destroyed in December by Lewis there. So yeah, this is a close one, but I gotta say, you gotta give the edge to not Daukaus on this one, to Blaydes on this one, because he's the grappler. He's also got quite a few KO wins, so it's not like he's just grappling people to death like somebody like Ankalaev or something like that. He really is also a striker as well as a grappler. And I think that Daukaus is going to struggle with that just because he's just a pure striker. And also, Blaydes' last fight was against Rosenstrike, who is a pure kickboxer. And he managed to win that. I wouldn't say fairly easily, but he did win that. And really the only reason why Blaydes, that was the other loss. Blaydes lost to Lewis with that highlight reel knockout, clean KO. The only reason he lost that is because he made a simple mistake and got caught by an uppercut from Lewis there. So since then, I would say he learned from his mistake. He easily, he beat Rosenstrike in the last one. I think Rosenstrike is very clearly better than Daukaus. So I think Blaydes is just going to control this one, control the offense, and win the same way. Just grapple him essentially and take the win that way. So I see probably Blaydes by decision. There's no over-under for this fight, but I will tell you the odds so far. They're at minus 400 for Blaydes, plus 300 for Daukaus. Would I say that they're that one-sided? I don't think so, but still easily a great opportunity to put Blaydes in a parlay. I mean, it just makes sense. I don't see too much going for Daukaus. Yes, he could catch him like Lewis did. He could. But I think Blaydes is just so much more well-rounded. He might even, I don't know if he has a power advantage, but he's definitely got the skill advantage and the experience advantage. So I think the clear choice is right there for maybe even a decision. If they put up the over-under, I could tell you, I would probably go with the over, whatever it is. But yeah. So that is it for the main card. I've got a few to talk about for the prelims, and they're all ranked fights. All of them. There's 4 of them. They're all both ranked, except for I think one of them. 1 out of these 8 fighters, I think, is not ranked, but all of the other 7 are ranked. And I have to talk about all of those, of course. So David Dvorak, Matheus Nicolau. I think that's not the first fight of the night, but it's fairly early in there. And honestly, this is a pretty exciting one too. Again, I don't really know why this wasn't up at least a little bit higher in the card. It's the second fight of the night. Seems bizarre to me. Anyway, ranked flyweights. Dvorak ranked 10th. He's 3-0 after his first 3 fights in the UFC. Seems strange that he's already ranked that quick, but it's the flyweights. Who knows? Oh, by the way, he was knocked out of the UFC in 2019. He came back last year and beat Kopp and Elliott to rise into 7th position. And that would be, I was talking about Nicolau. For some reason, I didn't write that in the... Did I really not write that? Wow, that's silly. Silly me. I was talking about Nicolau there. So Nicolau got cut from the UFC in 2019, came back though, win against Kopp and Elliott. Only those 2 fights to get into 7th spot. So really, as far as ranked fights go, this is bizarre because neither one of them really has very many fights in the UFC. And even weirder is that Dvorak has not beaten anybody that's currently ranked. So that's also strange. That doesn't normally happen, especially when they've had that few fights. Very bizarre situation we have here. On the other hand, like I said, Nicolau beat Kopp and Elliott, who are both currently ranked. And that right there is why I'm giving Nicolau a slight edge, even though Dvorak is on a 16-fight win streak. I think he might lose this one because, like I said, Nicolau, but you got to remember too, only 3 of those were in the UFC, plus none of those people were ranked, are currently ranked. So I'm giving it to Nicolau, even though I will say it's so close. I think we're going to see a 3-rounder here because it is that close. But yeah, I'm giving it to Nicolau because of his wins over Elliott and Kopp. That's why. So the odds on this one, plus 100 for Nicolau. So he is a slight underdog in this, which again, when it's this close, normally you go that way anyway, but I think he's got the slight edge. So I'm putting some money on Nicolau. Dvorak minus 125 right now. The over-under, of course, as I would have thought, as I said, basically, we're going to see probably a decision. So minus 217 for the over 2.5. Under is plus 166. So the over, of course, makes a lot of sense here. The next one, back to the women. And there's 3 ranked women's fights. No, 4, yeah. 3 ranked women's fights today. And this is one of them. Again, Jennifer Maia and Manon Fiorot, I believe. I'll just say Fiorot because I don't know. I think it's probably Manon because it's French. But anyway. A lot of ranked flyweight fights today. 2 of them at women, 1 at men's. Anyway, what was I going to say? Extremely close one for me again here too. Maia, of course, the veteran. She's been around a long time. Fought pretty much everybody, and she's beaten Modafferi, Wood, and I. She's had a few losses, but they've also been to the toughest people in the division. She's got 2 losses to Chookagian and a loss to the champ Shevchenko. Fiorot, much newer to the UFC, and although she may be new, her record speaks for itself. She's 8-1 in her career, 3 wins in the UFC, all last year in her rookie year of 2021. The odds very much in favor of Fiorot here, and I will get into that in a second, probably because of that record. But I think people are kind of overlooking the fact that Maia has only lost to the champ and number 2 contender since 2019. Those are her losses. So, I mean, that's pretty fair. That being said, though, Maia's last performance was against Chookagian in January. And while I did think that was the most interesting women's fight of that month, because there weren't really any, I think there were 3 women's fights that entire month, and Chookagian looked good, Maia just didn't really look that good. And that's where I was saying there's a weird thing going on in that division where it's like Shevchenko is obviously miles and away the best person. Then you've got Andrade, who is second and, by a fair distance, she's pretty good. Then you've got Chookagian, who's like a clear third. Nobody really on either side. And then you've got everybody else who is just vying for that 4th spot, I guess, basically. And Maia was, I mean, like, Chookagian didn't even really do much, and Maia was still doing even less, I would say. That's pretty much what happened here. It didn't really do anything to threaten her at all. So because of that, because of what I saw there, I'm going to have to give Fiorot the decision win here. I think she's going to win. Yeah, and I mean, also you got to consider, of course, the record, the 8-1 record, undefeated in the UFC, 3 wins last year. Maia hasn't been doing all that well. But like I said, it may be closer than people think. It's definitely closer than the odds are going to suggest here. Maia at plus 350, Fiorot at minus 500. I don't think I would say she's at minus 500, but I do say that she has the edge. And I would confidently put that in a parlay. And we'll talk about more about parlays when I'm done talking about the last two, but that'll be one of them. Over under, of course, at 2.5, minus 240, of course, going to a decision. I think it's pretty obvious that it's going to be going to a decision, but who knows? Maybe Fiorot will get a finish here over Maia. I don't know. But I think this much safer bet, of course, would be over at minus 240. Next one, Sarah McMahon, Carol Rosa, or Hosa, I think. I'm not quite sure. Another ranked fight, this time in the bantamweight division. McMahon is 9th right now. She lost to the current champ, Juliana Pena. That is her last fight. That's what happened. That's what happened there. I'm starting to get loopy. It's an hour and a half in, and we're at 5:45. Good Lord. I'm starving over here. Almost done though. Anyway, she's been in the UFC since 2013, has a pretty shaky record though of 6-6. Hosa, much younger, newer to the UFC, 4-0 since she got here, undefeated in the UFC. Where's my odds here? Ugh, that's weird that we skipped so many. Anyway, since joining in 2019, she doesn't have the experience, but with a record of 15-3 at the age of 27, by the way. At the age of 27 to be 15-3 and 4-0 in the UFC, that is very impressive, especially with the fact that there's not too many women's fights going on, especially in the bantamweight division. That is very impressive. So on paper, this is very, very tight, but I think this may be the case of having the young rising contender overtaking the seasoned veteran being McMahon. So being that she's also 14 years younger, Carol Rosa is 14 years younger and has a better record. I mean, you gotta lean in that direction. So that's where I'm going with this one, but it should be an interesting and close fight. The odds, plus 180 for McMahon, minus 220 for Hosa. Like I said, that actually does make a lot of sense. I thought that's what would have happened in Fiorot and Maia, but it happened in this one instead. I think that's pretty fair. Minus 220. I'm definitely putting some money on that. In fact, maybe even to sweeten the odds on a parlay, you might even want to throw this one in because she just looks better. I don't know. The over-under on this one, of course, again, over 2.5, minus 200. That's the clear way to go here. The under being plus 154. I mean, I think we're very clearly going to see a decision here. The last one of the night, barreling through this, trying to finish the night here, trying to finish the stream here. I mean, Neil Magny, Max Griffin. Oh my God, what a fight. The perennial ranked contender. I mean, when has this guy not been ranked? Seriously, Neil Magny defending his number 9 spot against a rising contender in Max Griffin. I mean, Magny's been around since 2012, and he's been fighting ranked people pretty much ever since. He got in the UFC at 7-1. He's fallen to 8 losses, but guess what? He's at 25 wins now. Yeah, he's 25-8. That means he's got 18 more wins and 7 losses, 25 fights since 2012. That is absolutely crazy that he did that. And not only that, he's got, let's see, since the start of 2020. So within the last 2 years, he's fought 5 times and had a record of 4-1. That includes wins over Lee, Lawler, and Neal, and then a loss to Chiesa. So, I mean, he's really been only fighting ranked people and doing very well since then. He is a decision machine. That is what he does. He controls all of his opponents with his grappling to win the fight. And he's very long, so he's got the striking there too. Controls them with the grappling, then lights them up with some nice combos from a distance. Griffin, he's been here since 2016, and he's done pretty well. He actually lost his debut, but that was to Colby Covington. So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. He may be on a 3-fight win streak now, but he's struggled before that with a record of 3-6. So not necessarily the greatest record for that. The last 10 of his fights, though, have gone to a decision. And considering Magny also goes to so many decisions, I think we're pretty much guaranteed a decision here. And I'm going with Magny because he's the very clear choice. He's so much more experienced, so much more, I would even say, skilled, just well-rounded and everything. So I think the clear choice here is Magny. I would even throw that in a parlay. And they've got him at minus 240 right now. And Griffin is at plus 190. So I would throw that into a parlay. Magny minus 240. He's looking fantastic. And of course, over 2.5 for the minus 234 for the over 2.5 right now for the decision. Really makes a lot of sense. Let's go with that. I would even throw that into a parlay. It's looking very good. Under 2.5 plus 180. Don't even bother. So that is it for all of the matchups. I will quickly go through a couple of my choices for the parlays tonight. Blaydes, very clear choice, minus 400. Grasso, minus 240. I think that's a decent choice. Askarov, minus 375. Makes a lot of sense. Magny, minus 240. Hossa, minus 220. Batgarel, I didn't talk about him, but he looks amazing. He's been incredible. He's at minus 150. That might be even an option to throw in at a sorry, Loki's on my feet. Throw in maybe a sneaky parlay, a long parlay, throw that one in there, just a couple bucks. Kizriev, I didn't talk about him at all, but he's a minus 650 favorite right now. You got to think that maybe they're seeing something there, that he's got a wild edge there. And I kind of do remember him having a bit of an edge. Anyway, Fiorot minus 400. Why not? Yeah. Those would be all the parlays. And of course, you can go with some of the over-unders too. Of course, a lot of the women's fights go with the over. Magny, go over, of course, too. Yeah. Lots and lots of great opportunities for parlays this time. Of course, I'll be writing about it. That'll be in the article. But that's it for me today. Of course, if you want to hear about any other sports, the Area 51 Network has got you covered. I've got all the MMA stuff. If you want to follow me, everything is linked below. That would be my Instagram, my Twitter, my YouTube for this. I post about UFC related things on Twitter and Insta quite a bit, mostly on Twitter, but also on Insta. That's where I put my bonuses. And you'll want to see who gets those bonuses, of course. But yeah, that's it for me. UFC Columbus. Can't wait to see it. And there's no event next week. Finally. Good God. How many weeks is that in a row now? 8 weeks, 10 weeks in a row where we haven't had a break? I will still be back to stream, of course, to talk about UFC Columbus. But that'll be it. It'll be a nice short one. Oh, isn't that going to be nice to have a nice short one? Maybe like a 45-minute one. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, so that's what we'll be doing next time. And then after that, whoa, the week after that, I can't fucking wait. We've got one of the best looking pay-per-views of the entire year. It's Volkanovski, the Korean Zombie. And then we've got the rematch of Jan and Sterling. I forgot his name for a second because he's been away for so long and he's not a real champ. But anyway, we've got that rematch. And then before that, my God, we've got Chimaev making his return against Burns, trying to get another first round finish. Can he do it? Oh my God, I can't wait. Seriously, every time he fights, I'm like, oh my God, what is he going to do? Is he going to get hit? Who knows? Maybe he won't even get punched again. Could you imagine if he does that to Burns? But anyway, that's what we'll be talking about in 2 weeks. We're a long ways away from there. A great time. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you next time. Of course, we're partnered with Bet99. If you want to get that deal, it'll be in the slides next. You'll see. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.